How are we all doing today? My name is Anima and I have yet another Pokemon X and Y Wi-Fi battle for you, this time against Ellis, otherwise known as Frickster, who is the resident genius that lurks around the lady and the pimp's Twitch.tv stream. He is really horribly smart, way smarter than I'll ever be, which makes me infinitely jealous. I'm not kidding, I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous. No, I really am kidding. He's really good. You can just give him any Pokemon and he'll just fire out a set that will probably kill Arceus. Even if you give him a Weedle, I'm sure he can think of something. Regardless, let me let you know what I am bringing, despite you being able to see it on the screen. I am bringing a Shiftry, Dragalge, Bastiodon, Wartortle, Rashu, and Machoke, while my opponent is bringing quite a bulky sort of team, at least in the first three, but those are walls, so I should just shut my bitch mouth right now, shouldn't I? Granbull, Probopass, Sliggoo, Mienfoo, Sneasel, and a Jinx. So a very interesting team. I really like it. As I said, the first three Pokemon are they're just so bulky. Like, I can't even. They're just so bulky, and Granbull is an amazing physical wall with the Intimidate and the oh my god, it's just crazy. And with how good fighting type is, and like Dark and stuff, Play Rough is just oh my god, the Fairy Stab with Granbull's decent attack, even uninvested, is like yeah, it's just too much. And Probopass destroys my team. Just look at the Probopass, look at my team, understand my pain. Sliggoo is bulky as shit, and Mienfoo is just the unknown threat. You don't even understand what I've experienced. And Sneasel is just scary as shit, and so is Jinx, to be honest. Jinx has this rather inappropriate tendency of making out with my Pokemon in the middle of a battle. I really just don't know how I feel about it. Like, this is some Rule 34 shit. I don't really know what to do about it, you know? So I lead with my Shiftry Wendigo, while my opponent does lead with his Jinx, otherwise known as Vacuum. That's going to be a recurring theme in Frickert's nicknames throughout the rest of this battle. Not wanting to take the Ice Beam, I do decide to go into Atlas, who'll be able to take that just fine. The Ice Beam or the Lovely Kiss, to be honest. Because I can't outspeed a timid Jinx with my Shiftry, so yeah, my best play was to go into Atlas, just in case it decided to set up any nasty plots. And I knew that this thing would, because there were a few attempts to try this battle out prior to this attempt being successful. So Atlas is, what I'm saying is I've seen his team before, just a little tiny bit before we got this successful take. So Atlas falls asleep while my opponent switches out into Steelix. That's not a Steelix, I don't know what shit you're trying to pull. The Probopass, and I couldn't completely confirm if it had Magnet Pull or not, but I guess it did, because he was very leisurely about setting up his Stealth Rocks. But Atlas thankfully, mercifully wakes up and goes straight for the Roar, getting rid of that thing, and it didn't matter if it had Magnet Pull or not, because it was forced out. So my opponent is forced out into Sulk, the Mienfoo, who is going to be able to get off a powerful high jump kick. Psych! He actually goes for the knockoff, which is the correct play to make, but I couldn't risk the high jump kick taking out my my Bastiodon, because it's the perfect answer to the Jinx. So my opponent switches out, and it turns out that Mienfoo is Choice Scarfed, so keep that in mind, ladies and gentlemen. I know I could take whatever the hell it wanted to go for, so I decided to stay in and go for the Toxic Spikes, while my opponent uses this opportunity to switch into the Probopass, which threatens the hell out of problem. It's just such a problem. This nose is such a problem. Predicting my outswitch very nicely, they do decide to go for a Flash Cannon, and that's very good on them. Adonis does take that like a goddamn champion though, and I'm able to get off a Fire Punch. But my opponent does have an excellent switch in for this, and that is their Granbull Flabebe. Flabebe, you've changed, man. You've changed. I don't think you're a Flabebe. I don't know. I mean, you just don't really look like. I don't know. It just looks different. So I really wish I would have gone for the Dynamic Punch instead, because it would have been nice to get some confusion on this Granbull. But I hit it with a Fire Punch, and thankfully it is poison, but it is just a one-stage poison, so I can't go too excited. Could have stayed on Dragalge and got the second layer of Toxic Spikes, which would have been so sweet. But sadly only able to get up the first layer, but it's still important because it is able to chip away at these things a bit. Now, Hermes is able to wall this thing quite effectively. So I'm feeling okay with that. I'm able to get off this rapid spin, which is just so nice. It's just so nice. So we're not going to be getting punished by any switches anytime soon. Anymore. Anyway, so yeah. Fucking A. I'm able to get off a Scold here, and thankfully Hermes is just like pissed off and gets the burn, which is so nice, while my opponent does decide to switch out using the Volt Switch, which is super effective, but Hermes honestly doesn't care. I really expected that to do more, but this is most likely an uninvested Probo Pass. So that's, yeah, and Hermes is pretty bulky with the EVI, so my opponent is gonna switch into their Mienfoo, and I do not want to take a knockoff, so I am gonna switch out and go into my Wakame, who would be more than happy to take a knockoff, especially because she has no item left. But my opponent does make the correct play, predicting that very nicely, and goes for a U-turn. So Wakame is gonna be initiatived on, which is just so sad. I can't tell you how sad that is. And my opponent goes out into their Bishop. Sneasel. And I thought maybe I could take one Ice Punch because I'm max defense, but I can't. It's a crit. I don't know if that mattered at all, but regardless, it happened. The reason why I didn't switch into Bastiodon, who would have been able to resist that Ice Punch, is because I did not know if this thing had Brick Break. And Brick Break would have obviously destroyed my Bastiodon, so I do have to switch out now into my beloved, darling, beautiful Adonis, who is going to be able to get off a Dynamic Punch on this Flababy. But again, this thing is just, it's such a good wall to fighting. It's such an amazing wall to fighting types. It's making me wonder if Machoke can learn Poison Jab, and if so, I'm sticking that shit on there like immediately. Seriously, just immediately. Thankfully, the Poison is starting to do something to this Grand Ball, which is really, really nice. I just need to get a solid hit on this thing, but there's just so much switching around, pardon me, because we do have quite bulky teams. And yeah, so my opponent does go for the Play Rough. Obviously, we're very reluctant to bring in our attackers. There's not really much need to. We don't want them to be getting hurt, which is why we're making these very defensive back and forths here. It makes for a very long game and a lot of mind games. Good lord. Now, I did predict my opponent to switch out here, which is why I decided to switch into Hermes, but Ellis does stay in with the Grand Ball and is able to get off a no, I'm mistaken this for something else. No! Thankfully, Flababy manages to hit itself in confusion, which is amazing. And I'm kind of free to go for whatever. But my opponent is going to switch out as I decide to go for a Scold. I would have really liked it if they'd stayed in, because it would have been so nice to get a bit more damage off on that thing. But he does switch out into this Sligoo Goomy bastard, and it's just not going to give a single fuck about this Scold. It's not going to give a single fuck. It is so fresh out of fucks. Like, there are absolutely no fucks to be had. Their fuck field is barren. There is completely nothing going on there. And I just have to go into Atlas. I was anticipating something like a Toxic, which I do predict correctly. And we're just kind of sat here staring at each other. I didn't really know what this thing would have for me. I didn't know his moveset, so I was just kind of hoping on it just like slowly getting poisoned to death. And I thought it might have some sort of water move, which is exactly why I switched into Hermes. But they have the Dragon Pulse, and that's going to do a decent amount to Hermes. And it looks like a lot because I'm on low HP, so I didn't really appreciate that. That was a very mysterious switch on my behalf. Should have just stayed in with Atlas because I would have been able to take any hit anyway. And plus this is Eviolite, so it wasn't really an optimal play at all, and got some unnecessary damage on my War Turtle, and for that I apologise, ladies and gentlemen. But this Dragon Pulse is going to do sweet bugger all because of the resist. And my Spuduff, so that's very nice for me. And I'm thinking, yeah, this is nice, this is all good. It's getting slowly poisoned to death, and that's really lovely. But it goes for the rest, and this is just appalling. This is so appalling. I can't tell you how appalling this truly is. It's just so bulky. I've decided that rest and rest talk Pokemon are my least favourite things to deal with. They're just my least favourite things to deal with. Honestly, it's just wicked. It's just so wicked. But the exchange is that they have to deal with the dodgy rates of rest talk. So I'm not saying it's unbalanced or broken or whatever. I'm just saying I personally don't like to deal with it. So I don't want to deal with the potential Probo Pass switch in, so I did decide to switch out into Wendigo. Trying to get a good knockoff or a nice and powerful Leaf Storm on something at least. Would have been really bloody nice to get a knockoff on the Sliggoo. I honestly just really, I was just salivating for that, like literally this whole game. That was just like, that's been keeping me awake. And I am able to knock off this thing's leftovers, and it's able to take it because Probo Pass's defenses are just so solid. I didn't even know this thing's stats until the other day when I was checking out bulky Pokemon. And this thing's defenses and special, it's a demon. It's honestly a complete demon. What is it doing here? It's such a beast. So I didn't want to take a potential Ice Shard, so I do decide to switch out. Their Ice Shard would out-prioritize my Sucker Punch because Sneasel is wicked fast, and I'm not running a jolly-natured Shiftry. So I know that Adonis can take this Ice Shard just fine. And the Sneasel is going to start to get whittled away by Life Orb Recoil and by Poison. So this is nice. I don't want to take a potential knockoff or blah 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 blah. So I did decide to switch out into Hermes, who would be able to deal with an Ice Shard very nicely or anything like that. Kind of just foddering off Hermes at this point. And the Ice Shard does do like no damage. I wasn't really expecting to live. I wasn't really expecting to live that at all. I was just kind of trying to kill... Sorry, Hermes, I wasn't trying to kill you. That sounds very bad. I'm just... Oh, man, I apologize. This would have been so nice to have, like... would have been so nice to be able to do something to this Mienfoo. It really would have been. But it's just... It was just very hard to get out an attacking Pokemon and keep it out because of the respective bulk on each of our teams. And my opponent had a lot of switch initiative. So, goes for the U-turn and switches out into their Sliggoo, and this is just... This thing is just such a monster. It's just so evil. I can't do anything to it. I really can't. So, I don't want anybody to just, like... I'm honestly just trying to kill my Wartortle. I'm just trying to kill it. I really should have switched into my, Shiftry at this point. Would have been able to do something, would have been able to just at least have it out and knock off something and kill something. But regardless, my opponent does still have the Probo Pass as valuable death fodder, but it would have been, oh god, if I had gone out into Shiftry instead of just trying to let my poor Wartortle die, maybe something could have happened. But regardless, my opponent is going to switch out and go into the Grand Bull, who will be able to get off an Intimidate on me, and that just stinks. I have to go for the knockoff, it's resisted, and it just comes shy of killing it, which is just so sad. It's so sad. But thankfully the poison is going to take out this Grand Bull, and finally, two of my opponent's walls are down. And oh my god, it just took so long just to get that slight, oh, it just took so long. So I have to switch out because this thing is faster than me. And I got into Adonis, who can take whatever move it goes for. Psych! No, it goes for the high jump kick. I was kind of expecting the U-turn, which would have been super effective, 4 times super effective, and it would have knocked me the hell out. But high jump kick is really good anyway, and would have just killed the hell out of anything that came in. So I have to go out into Gesundheit, and I do believe this is the first time we've seen Gesundheit in this battle. So I really honestly just want to kill this thing. I just want to get a good, strong hit on it. My opponent goes out into their Sliggoo, who is going to be able to eat up whatever the hell I go for. I go for the T-Bolt because I wasn't confident an HP Ice would be able to kill the Mienfoo, and I needed it dead for my Shiftry to be safe and start doing some work on this Sliggoo. If my Shiftry had been able to come in safely and kill this thing, then oh my lord, oh my god, oh man, my Raichu would have been able to outspeed because I am Timid Scarf, and it would have just been amazing. My opponent does go for the Sleep Talk and gets the rest. Wakes up, goes for the Dragon Pulse on the next turn, and Atlas is obviously going to be completely nonplussed by this, which is very nice of me. Gonna get this Roar off, and I was just really hoping for an opportunity to be able to just get Shiftry out safe on something. But my opponent is roared out into the Probo Pass, and oh no, 2 walls weren't down, weren't down, but it practically was down because it's now going to die to the burn damage, which is superb. So this fucking nose is dead at last, and that's just, I've never been so stressed out by a facial feature in my life. Apart from like my own, maybe, I don't know. So I can't do jack. I don't want anyone to take a high jump kick because Raichu would have been my win condition against this bloody thing. Because it would have been able to resist a sucker punch. And I just didn't have the faith that I would have been able to kill it with Sucker Punch until it was at a low enough point. So my opponent is free to withdraw and go out into, like, this thing, this friggin' Jinx. And honestly, my opponent had so many more Pokemon than me at this point. I do go for the Volt Switch, and that is really nice. I was expecting the Sliggoo, I was not expecting the Jinx, so it would have been really nice to get a T-Bolt off. Because I would have been able to outspeed it again and just go for another T-Bolt. It would have been super nice. I do go for the Sucker Punch. I do kind of have to. While my opponent goes for the Lovely Kiss and misses, which is really, really nice. After the battle, he revealed to me that he was afraid that I could have been early bird, but alas, I am Chlorophyll, despite me not running Sun teams. I'm kind of useless with running weather teams, to be fair. And finally, he does land the Lovely Kiss, and that is going to be just appalling. It's going to be so bad. I do think that perhaps if I had let my Raichu get put to sleep, maybe the Sucker Punch would have been enough to kill this thing at the range it's at, but as it stands, I am not able to wake up, and my opponent is able to get a super effective U-turn off on me, and that is going to kill Wendigo 4 times effective. That is it. I am dead. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye, my friends. I am gone. And the Sork / Mienfoo is gonna switch and go out into the Sliggoo, and that's just gonna be it. That's gonna be it. My last Pokemon is Gesundheit, and honestly, unless I get the crit to end all crits, unless I can literally crit through the screen and break my 3DS, I'm not gonna be able to kill this Sliggoo. And we come just shy of just one more hidden power ice probably would have been able to take it out, but my opponent goes for the rest, and I am not gonna play the I'm not gonna play around with just, yeah, that's just gonna have to be the end there, because obviously there's no way for me to be able to take it out. At least in a timely fashion. Enough Dragon Pulses would have been able to take Gesundheit out anyway, and my opponent had the Toxic and blah blah blah. Basically, Gesundheit couldn't have done it at that point, but that was a really good game. It was very close. I think if I'd controlled my shift tree just a bit better towards the end, perhaps the result would have been different. Who knows? But regardless, that was an excellent game. I really enjoyed it. Thank you very much, Ellis, for the battle. Seriously, this guy is like a Smogon genius. He's just like, I don't know, he just knows. I call him like a Smogon genius, just because, you know, when you look at Smogon, you can see movesets and stuff, and he's basically that. Guys, if you enjoyed that battle as much as I did, feel free to leave a like, leave a comment. As always, you completely don't have to, but that makes it all the more valuable to see. More importantly than the likes, than the comments, than the subscriptions even, I would like for you all to take care of yourselves, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye!